Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Oh my goodness. See, this is why I asked in the beginning for you ladies. It says video has no sound. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I sound like the Verizon commercial. But thank you so much, Sister Kendra. I so appreciate you letting me know that you couldn't hear me. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just start over. But I'll kind of recap really quickly, sort of where I was starting. Thank you so much for letting me know. I am talking about 5 strategies to help you get on back on track when you fall off the wagon. Kind of like I just did here. Fell off the wagon. Y'all couldn't hear me. I was talking for 10 minutes. Nobody could hear me. And only one person was brave enough to tell me. So I thank you to that kind person, Kendra, for letting me know that you could not hear me. But when you get off the wagon, you fall off the wagon. One of the first things you want to do is you want to stop pressing replay. What does that mean? Oftentimes we start going into this guilty mode about, oh my goodness, I didn't get it done. I didn't get this done. And that guilt starts building up. But what we don't realize is that we are actually setting up our body and our mind to work against us when we start feeling guilty about what we didn't get done. Why? Guilt actually produces cortisol and increases cortisol levels in the body. Who knows what cortisol is? The cortisol is your stress hormone that produces fight, flight, or freeze. And so a lot of times what happens, you get so guilty that you become paralyzed, not just because you feel like you want to be paralyzed, but because your body is actually responding to this guilt that is now building up in your system. And so the first thing you want to do is start extending yourself some grace and some forgiveness for getting off track, because that's going to help repel and keep you from building up cortisol in your body, which is working against you getting started. So first things first, stop pressing replay on what didn't happen and what you didn't get done. The second thing you want to do is you want to not fall into what I call the one sitting fallacy. Now, what's the one sitting fallacy? How many of you, when you were growing up, your parents were like, you're going to sit at this kitchen table until you get everything on that plate finished? How many of you? Let me know in the comments who's brave enough to say, yes, I was one of those people. Me. Yes. So my parents were basically like old school, and they were like, you can't get up from this table till you finish what's on your plate. Well, a lot of times that mindset carries over into adulthood when it comes to us getting back on track. Because we're like, if I can't get this done, if I can't get to my goal in 90 minutes, my 1 year goal in 90 minutes, then we feel unaccomplished. We feel like we didn't get anything done. And so I want you to think about what is a reasonable sitting for you. For most people, when you get off the wagon, I would encourage you to take a step back so you can move forward and start with 15 minutes. Why? Why do we want to just start with 15 minutes? Allocating 15 minutes to one thing that you can focus on to get back on track. That is because usually most people can't find a really good excuse for why they can't find 15 minutes. Now, we can find an excuse why we can't find 90 minutes, or we can't find 60 minutes, or we can't find 30 minutes. But oftentimes it's really hard to make an excuse for why you can't find 15 minutes. And so I encourage you to go back and say, hey, you know what? Right now, today, as I'm getting back on track, I am not going to be able to make 90 minutes or 60 minutes happen. But I can start with making 15 minutes happen. I can start by making 15 minutes happen. And that is getting you out of that one sitting fallacy, that the whole thing has to get completed in one sitting. You got to finish it. You got to get to the end goal in one sitting. No, start small with one thing, 15 minutes. The third thing to help you get back on track is to sort it out first. Now, this is kind of a weird thing, but hey, listen, I'm not the most organized person, which is why I have to come up with these kind of systems to help me mind hack and trick myself into getting things done and getting back on track. All right, so that's just newsflash, honesty moment. So for me, when I am going to wash the dishes, I sort my dishes before I start. Not like on the counter, like I'm not like saying, okay, plates here, cups here, forks here. But when I put the dishes in the water, when I start washing, I put the like pieces together. So I wash all the plates together. I wash all the cups at one time. I wash all the silverware at one time. I wash all the big utensils at one time. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm about to tell you why this works. The reason why this works is because as soon as I finish one grouping, one sorting of those dishes, I can say, I'm done with the plates. A lot of times we can't see what we've completed because there's so much. We don't even know what got done. But when we group things and sort them into different groupings and sections, when we complete a section, we can quickly identify, I finished the cups. And if you have 5 sections and you got one section completed, guess what? You are 20% done. And now I can say to myself, I got the plates done. I'm 20% there. Oh, then I got the forks done. All right, now I'm 40% there until I get to 100%. There's a reason, and I saw Kendra was on here and she's a fitness specialist, but there's a reason why when you're watching an instructor teach a fitness class that like when they think you're at the point where you're about to quit, they say things like, you're almost there, or 5 more, or 2 more left, right? Because now your brain says, I can do that. And so when you sort it first and you get those little pieces done, you can quickly recount what you've completed and get out of that zone where you're constantly saying, oh my gosh, I have so much to get done. Instead, focus on what you got done. All right. So the fourth way to get back on track is to not let your feelings masquerade as facts. And a lot of times I know I am completely guilty of this. I would be like, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like going the extra mile. I don't feel like taking this time to drink water. I don't feel like doing self-care. I'm going to kind of take you back to something that Tina Turner would say. She would say, what does love got to do with it? In a sense, what do your feelings have to do with it? Your feelings have nothing to do with what you actually, they don't have to have anything to do. Let's take that back with what you get done and what you don't get done. Okay. We don't feel like going to work most of the time, but we do it. And so sometimes we got to take that moment and say, okay, I know I'm going to feel like I'm not going to do it, but I can choose to do it anyway. And so taking that moment of really recognizing that your feelings, you know what, Kendra? I love what you just said. Yes, your feelings and emotions will trick you every time. They masquerade in there like facts when they're really just feelings. And you got to sift through that and say, I may not feel like it, but the fact is I can still do it anyway, even if I don't feel like it. So distinguish between the feelings and the facts. All right. All right. So the next thing you want to do to get back on track when you get off track is to remember the quiz is coming. What does that mean? All right. So when I was in school, you would show up in these classes and you knew that there were these teachers who were notorious for pop-up quizzes. But you would show up in the class unprepared, hoping and praying that the teacher was not going to give that quiz that day. Well, let me help you understand something that when you get back on track. The quiz is coming. What does that mean? That means that the excuses are coming. The feelings of not wanting to do it are coming. The barriers, the enemies, all those things that get in the way of you getting back on track, they are going to come. Okay, so stop pretending like the pop quiz is not coming and instead anticipate the quiz is coming. Now, what do you do to prepare for a quiz? If you know a quiz is coming, you're going to say, well, what's going to likely be on the quiz? Likely what's going to be on the quiz is these excuses, these barriers, these things that get in the way. And so you want to basically take a moment and say, what got in the way last time of me getting back on track? What got in the way last time of me staying on track? And then have a plan to overcome it. So I already know I have been running and working out for 3 to 5 days a week consistently for the last 3 years. And still, people keep telling me that at a certain point it's going to become so much easier to work out. Y'all, I'm still waiting for it to become easier for me to work out because my brain still is telling me, girl, you too tired. Girl, you don't have time. All these things. But I am quick to know, oh, that's just a pop quiz. I already know the answer to that. I can respond to those feelings, to those thoughts, to those shortcomings, to those enemies by saying, hey, I don't have to feel like it to do it. Okay. I can choose to do it anyway. I know the excuses that I make for myself that I don't have time. But instead, I respond to I don't have time by saying things to myself like, I really don't have time for brain fog today. And I know that if I go work out, I'm going to have a less likelihood of brain fog. How about I don't have time today to be low energy. And so therefore, I'm going to work out today because I know that's going to give me more energy. Do you see what I'm saying? I anticipate the quiz. I anticipate the excuses. I anticipate that life is going to life. And so therefore, I have a plan and a strategy for how to overcome those excuses and lifing. All right. So I said I was going to give you 5 strategies, which I did. But guess what? There's a bonus. And here's the last one. The 6th strategy on how to get back on track when you fall off the wagon is to stop trying to make time. I cannot tell you how many times I hear women who tell me that I just haven't made time. I just can't make time to do the things that are really important to me, to do the things that really matter. And I want to tell you, you are right. You will never make time for the things that matter to you. The only thing that you can do, because none of us can make time, we don't have that magic wand, we don't have that magical ability. But what we all have the ability to do is we all have the ability to set a time. So stop trying to make a time and instead set a specific time and choose a time that you know it's going to be most likely for you to actually achieve what you want to do. Sometimes people will tell me, well, I'm going to work out on Tuesday and Thursday every week. And then every Tuesday and Thursday, something comes up and they can't do it. So then I'm like, well, why'd you choose Tuesday and Thursday? Well, it seemed like a good day to do it. Is it a good day for you? So set a time that works for you. Maybe it's Monday and Wednesday because on Monday and Wednesday you don't drive carpool. And so that means that the conditions are ripe. The conditions are right for you to have success in getting back on track. So that's it for y'all. I gave you 6 strategies on how to get back on track when you fall off the wagon. If you did not hear it from the beginning, please go back and listen to the replay because I talk about how I personally have used these strategies to get back on track. The first one is stop pressing replay, recognizing that cortisol will trip you up and mess you up. So guilt does not help you. It does not help you at all. One sitting fallacy, understanding that you can't get to the goal in one sitting. You need to break that thing up into very small bite-sized pieces. And I would say no more than 15-minute increments. Third, sort it first. I gave my example about washing dishes and how I sort my dishes before I wash them. Listen to that because that is going to give you some good insight into why it's important to sort before you start. Feelings masquerading as facts, you got to distinguish the feelings from the facts, y'all, because the feelings will trip you up, like my friend Kendra said, will trip you up every time, but the facts will actually get you back on track and actually allow you to walk in the truth as opposed to just walking in how you feel. The 5th one was remember the quiz is coming. The pop quiz is coming. How can you be proactive and anticipate the barriers, the enemies, the excuses that you're going to make and have an approach and a strategy for overcoming those excuses? And last but not least, stop trying to make time. We're not able to make time. Not a single one of you listening is able to make time, but every single one of us can set a time. I want to thank you, ladies, so much for listening. I appreciate you sticking with me to the end, even with my technical difficulties. Thank you so much. And I plan to set a time to come back and talk to you ladies again because I am getting back on track, just like you, with going live more consistently on Facebook. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, would you be so kind to like, comment, or share? Like, comment, or share. That's the way people, not really the way people, that's the way Facebook determines whether I said anything worthwhile, anybody hearing. So if you would like, comment, or share to this post, I would greatly appreciate it because that is how, again, Facebook kind of lets people know. Again, I'm Nisha Drakes. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be sure to set a time to come back live again, and I hope that you will come and join me next time. Y'all have a great Saturday.